Hey everybody, I hope and pray that you're doing well today as we come to our word from the Word. And today that word is dependable. Dependable. Now, I don't know if you've ever done a trust fall, but it will test your faith in others. I remember when I was in school and I was in the ROTC program in high school, and it was one of those things. You did the trust fall where you got up on a platform and you had about 8 or 10 people, and they would cross arms behind you, and then you would just fall straight back. And I'll be honest, right? That's a difficult thing to do. And even though you watch other people and you say, well, no, it's going to be just fine, you still have that issue of falling back and trusting them wholeheartedly. But see, the thing is that we serve a God who is dependable. Now, that should do two things. It should both encourage us and frighten us. And the reason I say the latter, right? I mean, we typically stick on the one where, man, we can depend on God. God is faithful, and praise God that He is. But we also need to remember that not only is He faithful to His promises of blessing, He's also faithful to His promises of judgment. Now, as you get to Numbers chapter 26, you see that they are doing another census. And this is before they're getting ready to go into the promised land, but especially this is before they're going to battle the Midianites, right? Before, it's kind of a military census. It's like, okay, hey, after this last judgment that we just had and lost a lot of people, let's go ahead and count everybody, see military age men who we have. Well, they go through the tribes, and that's why you have such a long chapter, but he goes through all the tribes, gives you the numbers, includes some sin of some in those groups so that you kind of understand what was going on, and as a reminder to those families as well. You'll notice that if you go back and compare it to the earlier census, it's really only about 1,000 people difference. But if you really pay close attention and ran across one chart that just had, some went up quite a bit, some went down, some about even. The tribe of Simeon lost some 31,000. They decreased about 31,000. And if you look back over some of the stories, you'll find out exactly why. But the thing I want us to point out, the key I want us to look at today is actually the last two verses in the chapter, verses 64 and 65. But among these, there was not a man of those who were numbered by Moses and Aaron the priests when they numbered the children of Israel in the wilderness of Sinai. For the Lord had said of them, they shall surely die in the wilderness. So there was not left a man of them, except Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, the son of Nun. See, we serve a God who is dependable, and we see both wrapped up, that dependability in judgment and in blessing wrapped up in these two verses. It says, look, out of all the ones that they did in the first census, not a single one of them has made it to this point. Ran across one commentator that had, I think he was even quoting another source that this guy had estimated, how many people it was. And we don't know exactly because we get the count of males ages 20 and up and then, military age. And so even estimating how many people it would be altogether and how many funerals that would have been. He said it kind of broke down to about over the 30, at least the 38 years since the promise was made, when they refused to go in, give or take a little bit, 38 years. Here's the thing. It would have averaged out to about 85 funerals a day. Now, just think about that for a moment. Now, we know that as you look, as in the last chapter, there was instances where thousands died in just a day or a couple days. And so we understand that death was a prominent part. Well, actually, it was a very prominent part for that whole generation because God had promised they would not make it out of the wilderness. But God also promised that He would be faithful to Joshua and Caleb. Because, remember, they were 2 of the 12 spies that went into the promised land and came back with a positive report. And as everybody else looked and said, well, man, the giants are too big for us to go in, Caleb and Joshua said, man, the land that he's given us is so good. We know and we believe and we trust it. Man, we can't wait to get there so God can give it to us. And we know that God will give us the victory. See, they had faith in God, and then God was faithful to his promise to them. To the unfaithful, the ones that were unfaithful to God, the ones that turned their back on God, the one that didn't trust him and didn't take him at his word, God promised them judgment. And that's exactly what they received. See, in our society today, and really not just our society, but from the beginning, and even in the New Testament, even since the cross, right? There are two choices. It's either you go the way of Jesus Christ or you go your own way and go to hell. I mean, it is literally that simple. You either place your faith and trust in Jesus or you don't. And if you do, he is dependable. And he has promised that he is the way, the truth, and the life. And no one comes to the Father but by him. So if you come the Jesus way, right? Not man's way, not religious way, not works way, not anything else, but you come the Jesus way, you can depend on his promise that you will enter in to the promised land of heaven. At the same time, you can also depend on the great truth that if you do not try to come the Jesus way, and you try to earn your way into heaven, or you refuse to accept Christ, you can depend on him that you will face judgment and eternal torment in a place called hell. Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, wait a minute. Some of these people, they trusted in God. Like Moses doesn't get into the promised land. So wait a minute. What happened to him? The same thing. Remember, he trusted in the promises of God at times, and other times he failed. He still got into the heavenly promised land, but he lost rewards here on earth. And the same was true for many of that previous generation as well. There were times where they were faithful, right? And I'm sure in those that there are those who didn't wholly believe. They didn't fully place their trust in God. And today we have to understand that as believers, right, we need to place our faith and trust in Jesus. That's our way to heaven. But then we also need to continue to live out our faith so that we don't lose rewards. Because just the same as God has promised, and he is dependable in promising us a heavenly reward, he has also promised that we will lose rewards when we sin. We lose rewards when we go against his will. The point of today, and I'll just end with this. God is dependable no matter what we do. You know, in Timothy, it says that God is faithful, and even when we're not faithful, God is still faithful. And I think that is also seen here. He's faithful no matter what we do. The question is, which promise are you making him be faithful to? The promise to discipline you or the promise to bless you? The choice is yours. God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.